Good morning and Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad and believers in Yeshua Messiah. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. This is our Hidden Manna. I hope that you are having a good Sabbath day wherever you are. We're about to have a neat conversation here. Brother Max, I know you're there somewhere. Hey, bro, how's it going, man? Sorry about that. Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, man. How you doing today? Yep. Time of darkness. Darkness is coming when no man will work, right? Yeah, we had. It's good to see you. We had a neat service yesterday, a little Sabbath Eve, and we had some fellowship, and we got this upcoming Wednesday. I love getting together with everybody. I really do. And eating. I think actually our ladies are also getting together today too. So I'm going to get another free lunch out of that one. I know, it's terrible, right? I always want to show up at those things. Oh, hold on, something's happening. Wait. We've got a technical difficulty. Give us just a second, guys. Are we not here, Brother Max?
Can you hear me now?
I hear him for sure.
A little lag on from the live.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
Do we still have the lag?
Because they're watching me take a sip of my Pellegrino, and I haven't picked it up in about 10 to 15 seconds.
I think PM's on top of it. He's got it. Hopefully it's all straightened out. Again, another shout out, everybody, to Pastor Matt. Man, What would I do without that guy? He is awesome. Oh, beautiful keyboard. I don't know if you heard his keyboard yesterday. Got a brand new keyboard up there. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think awesome. Kingdom Times has got them now.
What's that, brother?
All right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, everyone can hear me.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate that.
Thanks, fam.
So listen, what I want to kind of talk about today. Oh, let me just give everybody just a little bit of information. We've got obviously our getaway is coming up really soon on the 20th and to the 23rd. So this is going to be for everybody our last Hidden Manna for this season. And we won't be broadcasting again for a couple of weeks until the week we get back from our Tabernacles celebration. So just trying to give everybody a heads up. I just need some time to kind of get everything together. I got a whole bunch of studies. It's going to be a great couple of days, but there's just so much to do. And normally we would have one more in the season. I think 22. We're up to 21. But we're going to make this the last one for this season, and then we're going to come back in a couple of weeks. Plus, it gives us some time to really get together and
come up with some good topics.
Come up with some good topics. And I tell you what, if you guys want to suggest a topic, if there's some things you would like for us to talk about, you guys can put it in the chat section. You guys can leave us a note, give us a suggestion. You guys got my number. You guys can text me. You can text Brother Max. And if there's something in particular you've got a question about that maybe we could answer, please send that to us, and we'll try to do that in the new and upcoming season. So I think that would be good, because the idea for us to do this is A, to have a conversation, but B, just to try to give some insight to help people understand, because that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to understand. There's no agenda here. We're not building our kingdom here. We really want to understand. And we really want to help others understand. And that doesn't mean we get it right, because, we don't. There's no way we get it right. I'm sure we have made errors, and we will continue to make errors, for our lifetime. But we're trying. And so if we can help you out in some sort of way, if you've got a question or a comment or something, please let us know. And I'll keep mentioning this over the next couple of weeks at services and everything else. So listen, for this, but what we'd like to do today, conversation we'd like to have for today, is we want to talk about Sabbath, but not just Sabbath. Also, if we can incorporate the holidays, the Moedim, as to, what do you do? Because I think this is a question a lot of people have. What can I do? And it's especially tough, I think, when you get to the Moedim, because we're not in ancient Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
The time of the temple is over. It's done. And yet we are the temple at the same, on the other side of the equation. But we're not in Jerusalem. We're not Levitical priests. And a lot of the instruction that comes for the Moedim deals specifically with those rituals, with those exercises that go on. And there's value, obviously, in all of it. We need to understand it. We need to learn it, because those lessons teach us something else later on. But on the practical sense, what do you do? Mm-hmm. Like we just had trumpets, right? Yom Teruah. What do you do on Yom Teruah? Well, good thing is, if you got a shofar, blow your shofar. That's a cool thing. Go out, check out the moon. Check out to see if the crescent's there. That's a cool thing to do. Technically, though, is there anything else that you have to do? Not particularly. I mean, if it's a great time to fellowship. Yeah. All the Moedim are a time for a holy congregation. Have some food, and even that, people get like, oh, should I eat? Should I not eat? Especially, we just went over, Day of Atonement. Do I eat? Do I not eat? What do I do? And so we want to try to answer some of just those basic questions, give you some of the information that we have to maybe help you along. Because on the one hand, yes, we do have to know the Moedim. Mm-hmm. We should follow them and understand what they are about. But on the practical end, we're 2,000 years away from it, and we are all scattered everywhere. And we've got people, and then this includes the Sabbath too. What do you do on the Sabbath? I know we've talked about Sabbath, a couple of times during this the Hidden Manna series, but it's such a big subject, and we want to kind of bring it up today again.
Yeah, because I want us to touch on too. There's many questions, and even from Christendom, that they'll throw at people who are starting to walk in truth. Oh, but how are you bringing a sacrifice? Yeah. How are you doing that? And I want to address that with you later on. A little bit. I don't want to jump ahead of the cart, but
yeah. Actually, we can do that on a Hidden Manna, and I'm also working on a message for that too, to try to connect who we are and who the temple is, and to make that connection. But that's that's weeks away. So, but yeah, that's a neat topic. So, Sabbath. Let's start there first. Because that's the basic thing. That's the thing we're going to have to celebrate week after week after week after week. So, what do you do? What's it for? Here is, I think we'll start off in Genesis right in the here. Beginning, right in the beginning. Yeah. Why not just start right in the beginning? Genesis chapter 2. Very, very simply. I know everybody knows this. We've talked about this a gazillion times. We didn't start the Sabbath, right? This isn't something, and not only, and this is a pattern that we're going to find out, especially when we go away and have our meetings. Everything started in the heavens.
Yep.
Everything, right? The whole story is written up there. Everything that Yah has done, he has put into the heavens. And so verse 1 says, the heavens and the earth were completed, and all their array, stars, everything, all the kit and caboodle. Verse 2, and in the seventh day, Elohim completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and set it apart, because on it he rested from all his work which Elohim in creating had made. All right, so simple scripture. Most everybody, has read this dozens of times. We've talked about this before, but the principle is Father starts the Sabbath, and it obviously is connected to the work that he does in creating this wonderful thing that we live on called the planet, the universe, creation. But and that's the awesome part of it, because ultimately what the Sabbath winds up sort of reflecting is is our eventual day of rest from all of this mess we've created. Mm-hmm. Because you also get that in Genesis chapter 3. Now, let me pop over there so you guys can see this and put the connection
While you're
together.
doing that, I just really think it's cool because I looked up the word consecrate. Obviously, it means to set apart, to make holy, but it says also to be honored, right?
Yeah.
And because he says that later on in Deuteronomy, Exodus, right, to honor the Sabbath.
All right, so here is next chapter, right? Genesis chapter 3. And of course, this is the whole fall, right? This is the whole rebellion, eat, don't eat, all of that stuff. It's funny. It's always about food, right? It's always about food, which is kind of crazy when you think about all the stuff that's in our food today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
Which
we'll be talking a little bit about at Tabernacle.
Yeah, let's do a shameless plug. Get it in there, brother. No, Brother Max will be doing a health thing and talking about food. And I just saw something yesterday on Redacted, too, about the food supply. About the food supply, the WEF, and what they're putting in, and it's just amazing stuff. But anyway, so here it is. This is so here's the curse, right? He deals with the woman, he deals with the serpent, but then he deals with Adam, and it says, and to the man in verse 17, he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife. Which, if you just leave it right there.
Not our words.
It's not my words. It's not my words. Mr. Carrot, it's not my words. But because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, do not eat of it. And here it is. Cursed is the ground because of you. In toil you are to eat of it all the days of your life. All right. And the ground shall bring forth thorns and thistles for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you are to eat bread until you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you will return. All right. Now, what most people may not connect when you read that, because later on, and it isn't until later, it isn't until later on that it gets introduced to the house of Israel that comes out of Exodus, but Yah already introduced Sabbath in his creative act. Mm-hmm. But by Exodus chapter 16, and I know we're taking a quick trip through history here, but it's important to see it. In Exodus chapter 16, this is obviously the house of Israel gets out of Egypt. And if you remember in the story of Pharaoh, right, the story that they're in Egypt, Moses, of course, let my people go, the whole story, chapter 4, chapter 5. And one of the issues, or the issue, is Pharaoh doesn't want to let them rest, right? He wants to go out and worship Father. But Pharaoh says, no, I'm going to make your labors even harder.
Yep.
And
you got to get your own straw.
You're going to have to get your own straw. Yeah. I really wish somebody would redo a Moses movie the right way.
Seriously.
Did you ever see that Christian Bale one? It was horrible. It was terrible. Yeah. It was terrible. Father was a little kid.
Really?
Yeah, he was a little kid. I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, but a little kid.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, it was terrible. It was totally horrible.
I was thinking of that one movie they made with Noah,
which was probably even worse than the Christian Bale Moses one.
With all the rock Nephilim and helping them build the ark.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I wish if you want to throw like $30 million my way, I'll make a movie. Seriously? I'll try.
Right.
But anyway, that aside from the point. So Pharaoh won't let them out. And what he does is he makes their labors even harder. Well, the children of Israel, you know the story. They get out, yada, yada, yada. And then finally, they make it to, they make it out of Egypt. And Father, and this is amazing, because this is one of the first things Yah does with them once they get out. He institutes Sabbath. Mm-hmm. It's one of the first things. They're crying about the bread. We don't have food. You brought us out here. We're going to die. And verse 4 of Exodus 16, let's pop this up so everybody can see. And it's a lot more than just verse 4. It's most of the chapter, but I'm just going to read little pieces of it. It says, and Yah said to Moses, see, I am raining bread from the heavens for you. And the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day in order to try them, whether they walk in my Torah or not. So this becomes a test for them, right? This becomes a way of learning obedience. And in the sixth day, that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. And then if you go on, throughout the chapter, he tells them that this day is to be a Sabbath for them. And let me see, if they're supposed to go out, they're supposed to find an omer, which, obviously leads us to the whole counting of the omer. Sorry. And I'm just scrolling through just a little bit, guys, to get to verse 22. So it says, and it came to be, and let me highlight this. And it came to be on the sixth day that they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. And he said to them, this is what Yah has said. Tomorrow is a rest, a Sabbath set apart to Yah. That which you bake, and that which you cook. Lay up for yourselves all that is left over and keep it until morning. And they laid it up till morning, and Moses commanded, and it did not stink, and no worms was in it. Well, that's good, right? I guess that's a good thing, because obviously, if you tried to take too much, it turned it went bad on you. It went sour. All right, so that's that. But this is the beginning of the story, right? So what's he teaching them? The curse that was put on Adam affects everybody. It affects all human beings. You're supposed to go out. You're supposed to work. That is the curse. We are to labor. We are to toil. Now, Yah's institution of the Sabbath was after his work, and that was a good thing. And so what he winds up doing for us is he gives us in the seventh day here, as he institutes it with the nation of Israel, he's actually giving us a respite from the curse.
Yep.
There's actually a day when you get to rest from the curse that was put on Adam. That is to go out and to labor and to toil, and that by the sweat of your brow to eat. Now, we're not farmers today, or most of us are not farmers today. Some are. I know there's some people that are ranchers and farmers, and people have their own farms and homesteaders, and that's cool stuff. That's hard work. It is. Yeah. That's hard work.
Not that I know from experience, but just some friends and family.
Oh, man, I'm still trying to grow my avocados, man. Those things just won't grow. I'm so upset with them. But anyway, that's got nothing to do with anything. So to toil, to work, is actually part of the curse. And so the Sabbath then becomes, or at least its initial installation, is to become a respite. It's to become a way of us remembering or really looking forward to that there is one day going to come, a day when the totality of the curse, because the curse wasn't just that you eat, you got to go out and toil, right? The curse is not just that you got to work by the sweat of your brow. That is part of the curse. But part of the curse is also that you die, right? Yeah. That from the ground you were taken to the ground, to the dust you're going to go back to. So the Sabbath then becomes just, it's really an amazing thing. It's a wonderful reminder to all of us that there's an end to this, right? There's a respite to this. This is not going to go on forever. A seventh day is coming. And of course, we can take that and extrapolate that out prophetically to the upcoming rest, the upcoming seventh day. But the question really is, what do you do and what don't you do? Because the Moedim are Sabbaths, right? So what do you do? What don't you do? And what I've noticed, and I think we got to be really, really careful of this, because I've seen this quite a bit. I go on different websites and check out different. I've been doing this lately, checking out some different congregations. Yeah, what I've seen, it's not all, but what I've seen is sometimes people get so caught up that, well, you got to do it exactly the way this says to do it. And when I hear stuff like that, well, it's got to be this way, it's got to be that way, or you can do this or you can't do that. How is that any different than being a Pharisee?
Mm-hmm.
How is that any different? I mean, here we are today. Now, of course, in Exodus here, it says, and if you read the whole chapter, they're not supposed to go out and make a fire, right? They're not supposed to go out there. But we've got to think about what was going on in their culture. Right. To make a fire, to do all of that stuff, was the sweat of their brow, and it was not an easy thing. I mean, you needed that to live. That was work. That was absolutely work. That's what they had to do. Now here we are. Go ahead, bro.
No, I was gonna. I didn't want to jump ahead of you, but I was gonna say that's what a lot of people misinterpret Isaiah chapter 58, right? Because they're talking about. I don't know if you want to address that now.
Yeah,
but I'll let
sure.
You finish your thought.
So no. Well, go ahead. Isaiah
58, starting at verse 13.
Yeah, Isaiah.
These are the arguments that you'll hear on a lot of different platforms from people, and of course, it's a learning thing, right? We all
it's a learning curve
as we go.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. Isaiah 58 and what verses
starting
are
at verse 13? Excuse me.
Yeah, I love this. This is good stuff. Here is Isaiah 58 and verse 13. Let me put this up so everybody can see it. If you do not turn back your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my set-apart day, and shall call the Sabbath a delight, the set-apart day of Yah esteemed, and shall esteem it, glorify it, set it apart, make it holy, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words. Then you shall delight yourself in Yah, and I shall cause you to ride on the heights of the earth, and feed you with the inheritance of Jacob your father, for the mouth of Yah has spoken. So I mean, this is a cool scripture, because what happens is if all you do is you take Exodus 16 and you make that the standard, you get what we wound up getting from ancient Israel. Can't do this and you can't do that, and it becomes a burden, when actually, as time goes on, you see us saying, no, this day is supposed to be a delight. You're supposed to understand that this day should remind you that this toil you're going through is not forever.
That's right. Because there's a going back to, I don't want to lose my spot, but let me see. When it says to not even speak your own words, when I just looked it up in the interlinear and the Strong's, it's business. Yeah. So what you do for a living. It's not, because think about it. Can you not speak your own words, your own thoughts?
Right. Same thing with pleasure. The word pleasure. I forgot what it was. I forgot what the actual word is. Somebody could look it up. But the word pleasure there
is
doesn't mean that,
Heifetz?
Yeah, Heifetz or Heifetz, something like that. And what it doesn't mean, you can't have pleasure on that day. It says what you do for benefit, what you do for income.
Because that's like saying, if you're a grandma, grandpa, you can't have pleasure with your grandchildren and go play in the backyard. I mean, come on.
So just look at the reverse of this. Then what is the Sabbath supposed to be? Well, it's not supposed to be for the business, for the job, but it is supposed to be a day for pleasure for you. It is supposed to be a day of respite from the work. It is supposed to be something that glorifies him. And we do this even in our own culture, right? Sometimes you sit down with somebody and you're like, all right, we're going to have a conversation, but you're not allowed to talk about work. Right? You do that because, because that's all you're doing all day long. You're
nowadays
talking about
politics,
work.
Right?
Or politics. Or politics. Isn't that funny? You can't talk about politics or religion and people get all ticked off. And it's been like that, I guess, throughout history. All right. So really what we're trying to really get at here is, so what do you do? What can you do? What should you? And even on the Moedim. Now, there's some specific instructions with the Moedim, but when you look at the Moedim instructions, they're normally instructions for what the priest does. It's how the sacrifice is done, and all of that means something, and needs to be learned. But there's nothing we can do about that. We have no. There's how do you translate that into an actual action? A lot of it we don't. It gets translated into knowledge. It gets translated into understanding who Messiah is and what he has done and how we stand before him and what his sacrifice meant.
We were doing a devotion the other night. She brought up a good point. We were reading in Hebrews when it says that we bring forth a sacrifice of praise with the bullocks of our lips.
Yeah.
So how can we bring a sacrifice to Yah in praise?
Yeah.
Right, with our lips.
And here's the crazy thing. That's what it was always intended to be.
Yep.
Always. When we go through that, like I said, I've been working on this message. So it's always intended to be what was going on in your temple. What was going on in the temple, as we'll find out, was a shadow. It was a teaching. It was a way to understand. It was a way to wrap your mind around what Father was doing. And we're slow. Human beings are slow. So it took us a long, long time. And and even after the temple is done away with, it still took us a long, long time to wrap our, and we're still doing it today. So while we certainly are supposed to honor the Sabbath, no doubt, and I think the Moedim as well. I know the Moedim as well, because they are teaching tools. They are, if you want to know who your Father is, and the plan that He has to bring us to Him, you have to know these things. And but they have to be a day of pleasure for you. Like even let's say Yom Kippur. We obviously it's the season we're in. Now in the temple that would have been a really solemn kind of anxious day, especially if you were the high priest. Could you imagine going into that Holy of Holies? Now, there's all that tradition, and I've heard all sorts of stuff on this. It's probably not true.
With the bell on their foot.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had the bells. There's no doubt that they had the bells on their clothing, but a rope tied around them.
Pull them out.
Yeah, did you ever hear that?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear that?
That's like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
So he goes in with the blood. He's like weighing it out, and he puts it on. He's got to run out before all the arrows start coming at him. Yep. That's funny. No, but I mean, that must have been a very, very scary thing to do as the high priest with the Shekinah right in there. And I'm sure, the whole house of Israel in the tabernacle anyway, in the wilderness, they're all outside waiting, right? They're all outside waiting with bated breath. Is he going to forgive us? Are we going to be atoned for? And of course he comes out, and I would imagine, and of course this is just me. This is not, gospel guys, but this is just me sort of imagining the story. I would imagine when he came out, there was a sigh of relief, but also, jubilation.
Yeah, clapping and screaming.
Yeah, clapping and screaming. They're just overwhelming joy. So you went from this anticipation to overwhelming joy. All right. So that's then. We don't go through that now. I know what Yom Kippur is. I know who my Redeemer is. I know what the high priest has done. So I approach the holiday we should be approaching the holiday very, very differently. I was speaking to, I think, I hope he doesn't mind me calling out his name, but I was speaking to Brother Dave yesterday. We were just talking about some people that we've bumped into from a Hebrew, from a Jewish background. And I've heard this myself from multiple people that, they look forward to Yom Kippur because, on Yom Kippur, all my sins could be forgiven so that I could start over again the next year. And it's like, what? What? Are you kidding me? That's almost like, the whole Christmas thing. That once a year thing. You got to go. Then everything's better after that. That's not the
or like
purpose
your New Year's
of the
resolution, right?
Oh, your New Year's resolution. Yeah, you look forward to New Year's so you can keep make some new promises you're not going to keep to yourself by the end of January. So what do? What can be done on the Sabbath? And I think the key to understanding this is to understand what a righteous judgment is, right? Because we've got to be careful of becoming Pharisaic. And again, like I said, I've seen this. I've seen it in some things where we're just sort of mimicking the religious attitudes and the things that have been done before and not actually understanding what those things teach and who we are today. We're 2,000 years removed from this. The time of the giving of lambs and goats and bullocks, and it's over. It's over. But how do we wrap our mind around it today? And I think one of the neatest things comes out of Matthew chapter 12, because the master, quite literally talks about this in Matthew chapter 12. Let me just get there.
Let me get this so I can read it for you.
I was going to say I lost Matthew there. Here we go.
1 through 12, right?
Man, I mean, there's so much in here. We'll go from.
Why don't we read it and then we can extrapolate parts out, so we can just we read the whole thing, then we can talk.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Go ahead.
So at that time, Yeshua went through the grain fields on the Sabbath, and his disciples were hungry, and began to pluck heads of grain and eat. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath." But he said to them, "Have you not read what David did when he was hungry? He and those that were with him, how he entered the house of Elohim and ate the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, nor for those who were with him, but only for the priests? Or have you not read that on the law, that on the Sabbath the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless? Yet I say to you that this place there is one greater than the temple. But if you had
hold on right there.
I know you were.
Hold on.
To read it through.
Holy cow! Think about that.
Just
everybody think about that. What he just said. Could you imagine the reaction he must have gotten from them?
Oh man!
Could you imagine how ticked off they must have been? He just told them the guy standing in front of you is greater than the temple. Wow.
In their hearts, they wanted to kill him right there.
Oh yeah, let's break every other commandment and kill him and murder him and think all sorts of evil and lie against them, because he said he's greater than our temple, and he is, and we got to get that through our minds too. He is greater. Everything about the temple is about him. Go ahead, brother. Sorry, I had to stop there. That's good stuff.
Do I sound like a robot? I hear my voice a little bit.
No, well, I don't. I mean, you sound fine to me.
All right. And then verse 7, but if you had known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, that you would have not condemned the guiltless. Whoa, sorry, I just lost my, what verse was that?
Verse 7.
Guiltless, okay. For the Son of Man is the Lord of even the Sabbath. All right, now we're going to verse 9. Now when he had departed from there, he went into the synagogue. And behold, there was a man who had a withered hand, and they asked him, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath, that they might accuse him? And then he said to them, What man is there among you who has one sheep, and if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will not lay hold of it and lift it out? Or how much more value then is a man than a sheep? Therefore, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath? And then he said to the man, I don't know if we want to keep on going.
Yeah. It's a great story.
Okay, let's finish up these 2 verses. Then he said to the man, Stretch out your hand, and he stretched it out, and it was restored as the whole as the other. And then the Pharisees went out and plotted against him, how they might destroy him.
Well, that gives us our answer as to what do you think they thought about him saying, I'm greater than the temple. You know exactly what they were thinking. They did not like that at all, because Sabbath, the keeping of the Moedim, all of it had become rituals. They had become things to do, and somewhere along the line lost their meaning. And Messiah defines for us what the meaning is. What verse was that? Verse 7. Let me pop it back up so people can see it. He defines for us what the meaning is here. And if you had known what this means, I desire compassion and not offering. There's was it in there's the part it's not here. I forgot where it is. Somebody can maybe look it up for me. Where they're plucking the grain. Oh, it's earlier in there. He talks about a righteous judgment, and we have to learn what a righteous judgment means. So,
and of course, he's quoting Hosea, right?
Yeah, he's quoting Hosea. So this wasn't supposed to be new. You were supposed to better than a ritualistic, rigid keeping of things just for the sake of keeping of things. You need to have a righteous judgment. You need to come at this with compassion. You need to understand what the day is actually about. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to extrapolate on the point when Yeshua brings up King David and his men. If you look in verse 1, it says, and his disciples, well, no, I'm sorry, that's when they would, but he said that they were hungry, right? Now, were they starving to death? No, we all know the story, right? They're getting hunted by Saul's, King Saul, and he wants to kill him. And so they're hungry. They weren't, we all know, how many times are we starving? Are you going to die just because you're hungry? No, but they had a physical need that had to be met, right? So it's life trumps law at that point, right?
That's a good.
Does it
I
make
like
sense
that.
to say? Yeah.
I like that. Life. Well, you know what? It's not that life trumps law. It's that life trumps man's interpretation of the law.
Exactly.
Because
we both know that I've read in articles where some Jews won't even take their kid if they get injured, and to the hospital because it's the Sabbath. They'll wait for it to end, and it's like, really? Come on.
Yeah. It's when Messiah speaks about a righteous judgment, and yes, obviously he used the word righteous, but I'm going to pull that word out for a second. I think what he's saying is common sense. Mm-hmm. Make a common sense decision here. Do you really think that these guys, crushing a couple of kernels of grain in their hand is work? That's the toil, that the curse that you do 6 days a week, and we have to make that righteous judgment too. My goodness, somebody in your family gets sick, gets hurt, gets injured. Do you say, we can't, like you just said, we can't take them out because it is the Sabbath or a Moedim or anything like that? It really is about knowledge. It really comes down to, for us, where we are today, it really comes down to knowledge.
We have a scripture to bring up proof because there's a difference between, Pharisaic, what they believe, but in Nehemiah chapter 13, I wanted to bring that up, verses 15 through 18. We're going to see an example of people just totally, ignoring the command. Chapter 13.
Yeah.
It's like saying Nehemiah.
I know.
Nehemiah.
I know. You say Nehemiah, but it just sounds so much cooler to say Nehemiah. Verse 15?
Yeah, starting 15 through 18.
Go ahead.
My phone's a little bit slow. Sorry. Nehemiah 13, 15 through 18. Okay. It says, start at verse 14. Remember me, O my Elohim, concerning this, and do not wipe out my good deeds that I have done for the house of my Elohim and for its services.
Yeah, hold on. I want to start, because when you read the book of Nehemiah or Nehemiah, I like what he does that, because as he begins to restore things, as he begins to get things back to where they are, he keeps saying, remember me for this, Father. Right, remember which is you could take it as funny because it is kind of funny. He's like, hey, don't forget, look at what I'm doing. But it also kind of applies to us, as you begin to restore things, as you begin to learn the truth of these things and put them into practice, not religious rigidity, but into real heart practice. Really honor what these days are, really memorialize what they are, really understand what they're about. You should be saying, Father, remember me. or at least thinking that, man, Father, I'm trying to do this the right way. Please see what I'm doing. I think that's a good prayer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a funny prayer too, but I think that's a good prayer. And as you learn, and you know what it is, every year we're getting better. Every year we're learning more. Every year, my goodness, we're lost. We're in the wilderness. We are scattered. You don't come into this thing just knowing everything. It just doesn't work like that. Somebody, dear brother, asked me last night, who's they're just starting to walk and begin to understand, and et cetera, et cetera. And they asked about Hanukkah. Do you guys use Hanukkahs? And remember, there was a time we did, right?
Yeah.
Remember, and I think everybody sort of goes through this cycle as you begin to come to truth, because one of your first responses, or at least one of your first reactions, is Judaism. What the Jews did, and I think we err in that. We made that. Now I realize it's an error. It's a mistake, because in all that they did, in all they prepared, in all the rigidity of the keeping of all of these things, they could not recognize Messiah.
That's right.
It didn't help. It didn't open up their eyes, and that's probably why they were so ticked off at Saul.
Yeah,
that's why they hated Saul, because Saul was telling them what these things are actually about, and then telling the Gentiles, no, you don't have to do it the way they do it, and they just did not like that. But anyway,
that's right.
Go ahead, verse 15.
Verse 15. So in those days I saw people in Judah treading wine presses on the Sabbath, bringing in sheaves, loading donkeys with wine, grapes, figs, and all kinds of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I warned them about the day of which they were selling provisions. Men of Tyre dwelt there also, who brought in fish and all kinds of goods, and sold them on the Sabbath to the children of Judah and in Jerusalem. And then I contended with the nobles of Judah, and said to them, what evil thing is this that you do, by which you profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers do this? And did not our Elohim bring all this disaster on us on this day, on this city? Yet you bring added wrath on Israel by profaning the Sabbath. And then it just goes on through.
It just goes on and on. Yeah. Wasn't there a point where Nehemiah starts like pulling their hair and kicking them and punching them when they were marrying the women of the land?
Yep.
What a revival! A different type of revival, but a revival. But yeah, I mean, you could see it's pretty obvious here. He's talking about work. He's talking about what you do. Monday through the 6 days a week, what you do to earn a wage. But he
didn't say, the kids were out running around the street playing and having fun. These people were just doing their regular hustle.
Grandmas visiting grandchildren, families having a party, and even the cooking. And I know that there's some people that will go right back to Exodus 16 and say, well, they're supposed to store up twice as much on that day and not cook. Well, they were not supposed to make a fire, which was work. Today, for me to make a fire, I don't have to go out and chop down trees. I got a little lighter. I press a button. And it's funny because then we see our Jewish brethren that won't even press the button.
Yeah, they even put like foil over their the dial on their crock pot, and because they don't want the crock pot working. And
I'm sorry, that's not a righteous judgment. That's not common sense, man. So how do you? I guess this is really the meat of it.
Didn't they
how
have
do you
to
celebrate
roast the Passover lamb? I mean, you had to cook.
Again, a righteous judgment. You got to use some common sense here. You got to really understand what this is about for everything, for the Moedim, for all of it. But how do you celebrate? First Sabbath. What's like a usual day for you for Sabbath?
Well, for us, I'll get up around 8, and I usually shower before the Sabbath starts, like Friday night, and then get up for Living Manna. I'll have some breakfast. My wife will cook breakfast for me, and then I'll eat my breakfast. We go on here live, and afterwards go out, and it's right away. My kids want some time, we'll watch a movie or We'll go outside in the backyard and play, especially when the summer was here. We were out in the pool. We'll go for a walk. You've been here. We'll walk on the trail. We have a trail behind our house. We'll have guests sometimes over, Jake and Victoria. Amy will cook, and we'll have a good old time. We play games. We have fun. It's I'm not, a lot of people know, I'm disabled, so I don't work a 9 to 5, but it's also a day of rest where I'm not going to go, well, we can't go to grandma's because I don't want to drive. We go anywhere we want, as long as we don't have to pay the admission. I can take my kids to the park, and if there's animals there or whatever, if it was a free zoo, I would take them. I wouldn't buy and sell, but as far as having fun, there's no limit. It's really simple. We don't and once you, like, for example, Amy, she'll still cook, and of course she's a stay-at-home mom, so she cooks every day. So some people will say, well, isn't that your job? No, it's how she, it's taking care of her family. That's what we don't neglect. If you're a mother that's nursing your child, you're not going to breastfeed your child because you do it every day. We got to sit there and say to ourselves, right, we have to think rationally. And that's how Yah is. Yah isn't an Elohim that wants his children that he loves to suffer on a day that he created for us. Remember, the Sabbath was made for us, not man for the Sabbath.
There you go. So, and what about what about the Moedim? See, because I think, after doing this for a while and just kind of experiencing everything that's going on, learning what we're learning, I think some of the issue that we have is there's a lot of people, because we're scattered all over the place, that don't have fellowships, right? Or don't have other people around them to have a quote unquote holy convocation, right? Because you guys up where you guys are, you don't have a congregation, you don't have a fellowship. So what do? Well, you got together with other believers. Your home becomes a holy convocation.
Yep.
When you have people over, when you're getting together, and as soon as the people of Yah get together, what's the first thing you start doing?
Oh yeah.
You start talking about Father, right? You start talking about
Father
Messiah
and eat,
and eat, which I think is exactly what he wants us to do. I think that's exactly what he wants us to do. But I think some of the issue is we have so many people, because of where we are in history, that are scattered so far away from others, they don't have that community. Like we're so blessed here that we've got a congregational family, right? We've got a group of people that we can gather with and we can share with, and family and friends that are close. But it's got to be tough for people that are in different states, far away, different countries. And there's not a community of believers around them, and so you're not I know two negatives is not the way to speak, but you are not celebrating or memorializing. If there's no congregation around you, but you're doing it with your family, or you're getting together with friends, or you're just home, and you take the day. That's okay. That's absolutely 100% okay. What do you guys do for Passover? Now, Passover is a whole different. We're going to deal with Passover, obviously, this upcoming spring. We'll talk more about it. But what's Passover? Now, I know you guys have spent Passover with us a couple of times.
Yeah, but, this past Passover, we were actually invited over Jake and Victoria's. So that was really nice. It's similar to what we do, and I neglected, we do spend time in the Word. We do a family devotion on every Sabbath, either Friday night or Saturday, late afternoon after we eat. But it was the similar thing with over Jake and Victoria's. We went over. We were just playing some good set apart music. We had some good music on, worship, some Psalms music, and just really got together and loving on each other and talking and fellowship and laughing. And then in between evenings, we had our the Passover meal as commanded. We ate it. And of course, I wasn't there; it was in my home. But I know the next morning, like you did, Jake burned whatever was left over on the grill, burned it up. But there was no burden, and that's the thing. We start to put these burdens and lay heavy burdens on us to say, oh, we can't do that. You can't do this, you can't do that. I don't know. It's the Moedim. I've been learning more and more every year. It's different, right? I think with you, I think everyone's experiencing what they do differently because we've taken what the Jews have done, applied it to what we think we should do. And if it doesn't line up with scripture, you know, I'm just seeing things differently every year. I'm just growing and growing. But same thing with Yom Teruah. We went over to some friend's house. We blew the shofar. We listened to some worship music. We gave a sacrifice of praise with from our lips, the bullocks of our lips, and then we did a short devotion. And then everyone went in the kitchen and ate. You know, we had a nice old time to eat.
It seems like food is like that.
The center, right?
Thin red line.
Yah's the center, and then it's the next layer is food and fellowship get combined, you know.
But here's a case in point, because I do the same thing. Like whatever lamb on Passover that we didn't eat, we burn it the next day. We put it in as a burnt offering. But honestly, do we really have to do that? Now I know people are gonna say, yeah, well it says you can't have the lamb left over.
Just eat it all, then you won't have it left.
just eat it all, so there's no leftovers. Okay, option A, right? Option A. But so there's what the literal command is, right? Mm-hmm. But don't forget, that's the tutor, that's the teacher. What's the truth of that command? Because we are supposed to be walking in spirit and truth. Mm-hmm. The truth of that command is, as Yeshua says, eat of my body. Drink of my blood, eat all of it. Now, there's the physical lamb, but then there's the reality of what it means. Messiah, I want all of them.
People around him didn't get it either. That's why they all left, remember?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. They all left. They all just went their way. So is it wrong to take whatever leftover lamb, and of course we try to buy a lamb that we mostly eat the whole thing? Is it wrong to take it and burn it outside? No, I see nothing wrong with that. Would I command that on somebody? Would I say you must do this? No, I think that's wrong. I think that's taking it too far. Do it. That's great. You want to do it? Do it. But what it actually meant was you really need to consume Messiah. You really need to understand all. I think if
we're trying to put all those pieces together and saying that we must, then we need to realize that we're not in Jerusalem. We're not at the temple. So where does those things lie in, right? Where do those fit in? So we need to do, the spirit and truth, not just the letter,
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. In fact, it's gonna be our introduction for our time together in a week or so. The difference between walking in spirit and truth and walking in the letter, because you got to understand that if we don't get the difference between walking in the letter and walking in the spirit, we will make, and I see it all the time, we will make the same errors that were made before. And then what's the difference?
Yeah. And then you'll understand Paul more too.
Yes, you begin to understand Paul, Saul, Shaul. You begin to understand him so much more, and you begin to understand why the Jews of his day were ticked off at him. They were because to them the letter was being broken, but the intent, the spirit, what it really meant, what it really truly meant was being done. So that's just one example. So we got Passover, we've got Yom Teruah. What do you guys do for Sukkot?
Well, Sukkot, this is going to be the first that we've got together with more than just another family. So that's going to be something I'm looking forward to. This has been my desire for years, right?
Oh yeah, I know.
Since we came to truth. But
yeah, we're actually kind of getting together because of you pushed it. You're like, yeah, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this.
But we used to always, do a sukkah in the backyard. We didn't do we used to get slack too from, nobody that we know now, but just back in the day, because we would just use a tarp in, like a pool cover and prop it up. And, that's not a legit sukkah. You don't have this or that, And it was like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And, but we used to try to hang out there as much as we can during the day, and that was really it. We would just have every day, we honored the high Sabbaths in the beginning and the end of the week. And then during the week, we tried to just grill outside as much as possible and hang out. devotion time, and again, family, right? Fun, family, rejoice. It's a time to really rejoice. I think that's the biggest emphasis that Yah puts on tabernacles. It's you better rejoice. This isn't no bow your head and woe is me, and try to slash your arms like you brought up, with how with atonement, what people do. But yeah, we looking forward to this year. This is our first time getting together and really breaking it down every day, having a study and really just having that convocation to get together with Yah's people. But nothing really big, like I said, other than a sukkah,
See, we've been putting up sukkahs for years. We put up one normally at LMC. We put up a sukkah. I sometimes put up one, most of the time, put up one here in the house. In fact, I think last year we had it up here in the house. And what we do is, we'll eat dinner out there.
Yeah.
We don't sleep in it. We're not camping people. But then again, you've got people that say, well, you've got to put up a tent and you've got to be in it for the week and you've got to. No. And I'm sorry. I know this is going to rub people the wrong way. No, you don't. No, you don't. Now, when you do it, if you do those things, is that good to do? And that's great to do. That's fun to do. And you will learn so many lessons by doing it. But what's the real tabernacle here? What's the real sukkah about? Well, it's about us. It's about our wanderings. That's the reality of it. But so, like you said, if people say, well, that's not a legitimate sukkah because you didn't do it this way, you didn't do it that way, or, you didn't sleep in it for 7 days, or you didn't barbecue outside. You can celebrate Sukkot with all of that, or you can celebrate Sukkot without all of that.
Yeah. What was it? Peter, right? When Yeshua takes him on the mountain and the transfiguration, when they see Elijah and Moses, right? And what does he want to do? Build a sukkah for him, right? And they're like, no.
Yeah. I think that's where Father tells him to shut up.
Yeah, he's like,
stop talking.
Yep.
Stop talking. Again, I'm not saying don't build a sukkah. It's cool. It's fun, and you learn lessons. And I think that's really the intent of the law, is to learn the lessons. But the idea is to learn the lessons. The idea is to understand. To understand the principles, because again, these are as Colossians tells us, these are the shadows, and the thing casting the shadow is the reality, and that's what we have to understand, and we do it certainly 1,500 years of the shadow, but it's time for us to mature. It's time for us to really get a grip around this. And
then there's that other element, I'm not going to lie, right? Let's face the facts, because we've heard some slack. Oh, well, you guys aren't going to have sukkahs at tabernacles and this, and you're staying in a quote-unquote hotel-style room. That's not Sukkot. It's like, oh, and you're doing Sukkot? and then it's like, come on. You have people physically who cannot sleep in a tent on the floor because they will not be able to get back up.
Yo, I'm one of them, bro.
I'm one of them. I've had 5 back surgeries. You've had back surgery. I mean, come on. Let's
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So I
got
think
a renewed body. Sure.
I was talking with some brothers yesterday. We had one dear brother who just, I think, had a knee surgery, another one hip. I've got my hips, right? I got the hip surgery, back surgeries, and we're all talking about all these new spare parts we've got. I'm thinking. I said to them, man, one day we're gonna get all brand new spare parts, man. And I can't wait to get my brand new spare parts. And a dear brother, a great man of God, says to me, yeah, man, I'm gonna get a brand new body, the Eddie Bauer edition.
Eddie Bauer. That's funny.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I mean that's you got to judge a righteous judgment. Make a righteous judgment here. We're not in Israel. It's not 2,000 years ago. There is no temple. There is no way to celebrate this thing according to every instruction that was given, including going to Jerusalem and doing that. But does that mean that we can't do it and learn from it and understand it?
Yeah, I agree, because I want to extrapolate just what we just talked about 20 minutes ago with David and his men. He broke a commandment because they had to meet a physical need. So if we can't have a sukkah and sleep on the ground because of our physical needs, then what is it, right?
Judge a righteous judgment.
That's it.
Judge a righteous judgment. There's so much more to talk about on this subject, but our hour's gone by.
Oh my goodness, you're right.
It's a big, but you know what? I just want to try to, let people know, don't get so tied up in you got to do. You got to understand. That's what you really have to do. You have to understand and make a righteous judgment and honor Yah with what you're doing, and understand what these things really mean, because it's, as Messiah said, he is greater than the temple. Mm-hmm. He's greater than it. He's greater than anything that went on in the temple. Everything that went on in the temple is about him. Understand him. He is indeed master of the Sabbath. All of them. Amen. All the Moedim. All of them. All right. Cool stuff, brother. Cool stuff.
Just want to say we'll see everyone in a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks. So, we got some great stuff, man. It's going to be fun. We're going to have some fun, but we're also going to learn. We're going to really be challenged. Everybody's going to walk away from this one with a major spiritual headache.
Yeah,
they're going to be like, wow.
If I could tell anyone some advice, just as I'm speaking about me too, just pray for Yah's wisdom. Ask him to give you wisdom and eyes to see. Because I know I haven't had any insights. I know people think that Dave tells me everything, but he's been telling me it's going to be good. And he's just leaving me on a cliffhanger too. So I'm looking forward to this just as much as everyone else.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. I can't wait to see some of our LMC family that we only get to see online.
Online, I know.
And I wish awesome. I wish we could be with everybody. I really do. And then one day, hopefully, prayerfully, we'll be able to do that. That'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, we're looking forward to it, man. So don't forget, guys, this will be our last Hidden Manna for a couple of weeks. We're coming back the week after. We'll come back and we'll do a manna. Brother, I love you, man. Thanks a lot.
Love you too. Enjoy your Sabbath.
Yeah, enjoy your Sabbath, man. I'm going to a women's fellowship, and I'm going to eat some food.
Food.
I'm going to enjoy my Sabbath.
There you go, brother. All right, everyone. Shabbat shalom, everyone. See you guys in a couple of weeks on Manna.
All right, brother. Later.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I know it's a little bit light today, but hopefully you got something out of that. And enjoy the rest of your Sabbath. Have fun today. Be with family. Be with friends. Whatever holy convocation you got going on. Enjoy the day. This is your respite from the curse that came from Adam upon the world, and a reminder and a memorial of the rest that's going to come one day in the future. Guys, have a wonderful day. Don't forget to join us tomorrow morning, and of course each morning for our morning manna. And we'll see you guys soon. For those that are coming to our getaway, we look forward to seeing you guys. It's going to be here like that. But until then, guys, have a blessed day, and Shabbat Shalom.